reminded me I didn't have my mic on. So last week we started in chapter 15 and we got about that far, which is not unusual for me. So, I'm sorry? Just a little. That doesn't happen very often in my classes, but sometimes it does. So we're going to try to get back on track a little bit today, and these few chapters here are of course, when they were dividing everything up, it's just a lot of yes. I don't think I know one of them, but I'm not the only one. Well, that's a good thing to know. Good thing to know. So we're going to highlight these next couple of chapters and just make some application to them and a few comments and go from there. So chapter 15, what do we have going on here? What land is being divided up? For what tribe? Judah, okay? And what the land of Judah was taking out of what land? So, I didn't hear you. There was, yes. And we have we have Judah being land of Judah being taken out of there. Now, what are the what was the problem with what didn't Judah do? Okay. All right. And so what was the result of that? Yeah. Exactly. Now, we read about, and we see some of those same things, some of the problems that people have to deal with today, occurring. Judah, all right, did not run everybody out. Well, they were told to kill everything. All right? And as a result, they didn't. So what was their plight from that point forward? They had to deal with these people, okay? Over and over and over again and continually, okay? Because they did not do what they were told to do. Well, I will submit to you, and it's just my opinion, but they've been fighting here, and when the good Lord comes back, guess what he's going to find them doing? Fight. And nobody has learned their lesson yet. Okay? Nobody's learned their lesson yet. And we talk about people today in respect to some of the stuff going on over there now. You have people all up in arms about this, and this is just so this and so that and uncalled for, and so violent. People call stuff going on today violent. They need to do a little bit of reading. All right? You know, at least we have the appearance of today trying to be as humane as we can with things that happen, and, you know, try not to target places of, you know, where people are gathered, you know, citizens, civilians, children, and so forth and so on. Kill everything. The goat, the dogs, children, the women, everything. Everything. So, biblical times were quite violent as well. And do you think he knew what he was doing when he told those people that? Obviously. Look at where we're at today. Still there, still around, still causing problems. All right? Never ends. Just a continual cycle. Continual cycle. And now you have people that are fortunate enough to live in this country now, and you know they've got something to say about it. Really? Really? Such is how the world turns, unfortunately. You're right. You're right. And you know, and if you pay close attention, you know, throughout time and throughout history, you see that. You know, you see that swing. You know, it seems like it's just stuck up here now. Something got a hold of it. Got caught at the top of the screen door or something. All right. But those things happen. You know, they do. And it's quite noticeable if you take the time to look at things and where we were and where we are. And then, you know, when things seem to calm down and settle some. So you're exactly right. It's, you know, it's that pendulum. But one day that pendulum's not going to swing anymore. And that's our responsibility to be prepared for that. Excuse me. Uh-huh. Well, you would think so. However, if we look at it from a human side and objectively, you would think it would stand to reason that, all right, even in this chapter, you know, the Lord provided very abundantly. Okay? Very abundantly. And I'll focus on that word, abundantly. What is abundantly? A lot according to who? What's a lot? Yeah. Okay? But these other people and these other texts, you know, I think it's something we should at least to consider. But look, and we just talked about it. What's going on over there? Why is that happening? They don't have the same morals that we do. They don't value life like we do. There's a difference. So I think that plays into it a lot. It's okay, well, you know, abundantly. Well, what's that? 3 chickens and 2 cows? Or is it 3 chickens, 2 cows, and a goat? You know, what is abundantly? And that in our lives today, all right, you say, yeah, you know, we've been blessed, and we have. You know, we have it abundantly. I submit to you, though, there's different degrees of abundantly sitting here. Uh, so what may be abundant to one person may not necessarily be to another, and I think that's where we get a lot of these differences in texts. Oh, you ought to be in. You ought to see some of the holes me and Troy is wound up in. Like, whoa, what am I doing here? Then it'll be, yeah, 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 cardboard walls, you know. Uh, then about dark, they go to shooting at each other. I'm like, this is the first thing, first night we're there. I lay down this hot. It is just miserably hot, miserably hot. There ain't no rest. You can't rest stuck to everything that's up underneath you. And I ain't got my eyes closed, and they start shooting. First thing I do is I grab for my gun. I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. I ain't got it over here. Yeah, people. Let me tell you something. People have absolutely no conception whatsoever. No conception whatsoever. People that think they live in poverty here, they ain't even got a definition for poverty. They have no clue what poverty is. We are. We're very fortunate, and we're blessed. And you know, as bad and pitiful as it sounds, the fact is that because of that, and because of those situations, and because of that poverty, that's why those people are so receptive. You know, they are so receptive to the word. Okay, where we, in a sense, take things for granted, ability to worship and come and go and do. That ain't so over there. You know, that's not so. And even that little bit, you know, if we're there a week or 10 days, and the ones that Troy and I always went on, we were on a building crew, but in conjunction with that, the ones that we went on had a medical component to it as well. You know, doctors, nurses, dentists, you know, and you get up in the morning and daylight would break, and there'd be a line as long as you could see. Stand there all day in line, all day. And that's what made them receptive. They had that, you presented them with hope. Hope. You know, you presented them with hope. And, you know, when we leave, that medicine runs out. You know, when the doctors leave, you know, the antibiotics run out. They're right back in the same spot that they were in. But it has given you that opportunity and opened that door so that, you know, you can present to them the, you know, the Bible. And it's always very taken very, very well and very cordially, because they don't, y'all, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff I've seen. We had I shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to. I used not to be as nice as I am now. But there's a reason though. We were, I don't remember where, and we were riding to get some lumber. We were building a church building. I say a church building. Block walls, tin roof. That's the building. And we were going to get some lumber, and we had stopped somewhere, and I had a little can of fruit cocktail, like a little Viennese sausage can, little pop top thing, fruit cocktail. And you stop, and the youngins they just flock. You know, we always carried bags of candy, and you'd give out candy. Well, this little boy come running up there to the truck window, and I give him that little old can of fruit cocktail I had. And he grabbed it, and he run off. And about the time he got to the corner, some man laid his scalp open with I don't know if it was a pickaxe handle, an axe handle. He peeled his brains, buddy. And over that can of fruit cocktail. And naturally, I jump out of the truck. I go to running after him. And the rest of the guys in the truck said, man, stop. I'm like, what else? Y'all, what do you mean stop? He said, man, they'll get you around that corner and cut your guts out. I'm like, huh? That's all right. I went back that night after dark, and I remembered that guy. He didn't show back up because we'd have had a problem. But I don't even know the kid lived. I mean, it was that bad. And let me tell you something. There wasn't no CSI that come and worked the crime scene. I don't know how many times we've seen. There was one time they were either 4 or 5 people they'd found side the road, been killed. You know, they've got an old mule and a 2-wheel wooden cart, and loading them up on it, and that's it. That's it. People have no clue. People have no clue. I can't remember if we were in, I want to say Nicaragua, but I'm not sure. It could have been El Salvador, but I'm almost sure it was Nicaragua. But it's different there, y'all. It is different. It's different. And it's, you know, they're starving to death, you know. And it's not that the people are, well, with the exception of that guy, I may go back still hunting him, but he needs hunting. But you know, it's they have so little. We ship containers over beforehand, and you know, the medicines and stuff that they have for the doctors and stuff are in these little old 3-gallon buckets, little old white buckets, you know, with a little top. You give a youngin' one of them, and you would think you give him a new bicycle. And me and one of the gentlemen from Tennessee were sitting there, and they had started giving out some of the buckets toward the end of our mission there. And we're sitting there, and I'm sitting there looking at those kids, and he is too. He said, "You believe that?" I said, you know, I wasn't paying any attention. I said, "Believe what?" He said, "You see them youngins over them buckets?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Imagine giving your youngin a 3-gallon bucket at Christmas. How that'd work out?" You know, you'd leave your. We were staying in an abandoned school, and of course, you know, they got holes cut out for windows and bars. You know, no glass. Because it's so hot and all there, you know, and you get through with a shower and you lay your soap up on the edge of the windowsill there, you know, for it to dry out and all. Better not. They get it. It'd be gone. All right? It just because it was an opportunity, you know, to get some soap and to have some. Pitiful pitiful, pitiful. And again, people have no clue. People have no conception. And it's hard to imagine. You know, I've spoke with people that say, "Oh, God, you know, it can't be that bad." Well, all right, all right. Load your stuff up, right, Troy? Load your stuff up and see. But you know, that's part of our responsibility, and not necessarily physically. And I don't know how many of you have ever been on those mission trips, but we accomplish that by supporting the missionaries that we do. All right. So that's our responsibility. You know, we're to go and teach and you know, spread the word of our Savior. So that's our responsibility. Again, whether we accept it or not. But God did abundantly bless Judah as he had Joshua. We see the outlines and the boundaries of Judah. The description of the inheritance would have been exciting to the Israelites. 7 points are pertinent regarding Judah's boundaries. Number 1, they reflected the keeping of God's promise. They reflected the abundance of God's blessings. They reflected God's desire to give his people hope. And similar to the boundaries, the lines of Judah, the existence of heaven reflects that God is a promise keeper. He blesses his children abundantly and gives his people hope. And just like we're talking about these missionary efforts, you give those people that little bit of hope. Okay? And that goes a long way sometimes. All right? Can you imagine once they started dividing up the lots of the different tribes, knowing that is finally here. All right? It is here. We are here at that point. Here it is. Can you imagine how exciting that would have been to them after everything, after all the wandering and after all the battles and everything that was going on? Yes. Yep. I can't. I can't close my eyes and imagine that happening. Can you? Every day. Ain't good enough. What do we see here in this chapter? Same thing going on. You know, well, you know, this tribe has twice the amount of people yours has. All right. What do you think? All right. And proportionately, which was, you know, what's going on here. All right. But what do people see? I seen a thing that reminds me of this. You know, people see that's all they say. Well, he got more than I got, you know, or little kids, you know, for Christmas. He got 13 presents. I ain't got but 11 under the tree. All right. But I seen a thing this past week, and it was a gentleman speaking, not that it had to be, it just was. And let me get this right now. His quote was, he said, I looked in your coffee cup to see if you had enough. You looked in mine to see if I had more than you. Human nature. Human nature, unfortunately. But that's how people are. Not appreciative of things like we should be, you know. And some of that stuff just comes with age, it comes with birthdays, it comes with knowledge by reading and studying and building our relationship with the Lord. Right? It doesn't happen magically. All right? We have to we have to make that effort. And how do we show the Lord that? How do we draw closer to Him? You know, in His Word. That I'm gonna put these down because I keep throwing them everywhere. But yeah. But that's how we show that. That's how we show our love for Him, for the things that He's done for us. That's how we draw closer to Him, all right, is by studying. And you know, it's not being here at 9:30 this morning. I don't get it, all right? Not being here at 10:30 when church services start. Not being here on Wednesday night, coming and listening to the lesson. Is that good? Sure. All right. Anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. Does that get it? And does that fulfill your responsibility? No. No. Did you have your hand up, Steve? Okay. So that doesn't fulfill your responsibility, you know, and it's like the Bible tells us, you know, we are to study to show ourselves worthy. Now, you should be able to sit up here on Sunday morning and Wednesday evening, and whoever has the lesson, you should be able to sit here and listen to that and believe that, okay? And I certainly don't think there's any reason not to here. But how do you know? How do you know? How do you know when those false teachers present themselves? You got to. There's no other way. There's no other way. And you know, the problems today with denominationalism is that, you know, everybody thinks they're right, and everybody thinks that, you know, at least originally, you know, when things start to splinter, you know, and we're all right here, and we, you know, this group splinters off and takes a step. Well, but it's, yeah, but we're okay. I can still reach out and touch it, you know. Then we take another step, and at some point it's completely unrecognizable. Okay, completely unrecognizable. Just in our denominational world, a lady I used to work with was, I can't remember if it was Methodist or Presbyterian. Anyhow, I was having a discussion with her one day. Do both, excuse me, y'all, this, I'm just so stopped up. Do the Methodists and Presbyterians have creed books? Creed books that they use? Both? Yeah, I've seen the Baptists. You know, some denominations do, some don't. And anyhow, that come up. I'm like, well, what? Why? Explain to me why you need that. Well, it helps you to understand and explains what the verse or passage is saying. I'm like, okay. Of course, now I'm letting the worm get soggy, all right? And I said, well, I can see that, a commentary, right? I use them, all right? Commentary. And I said, so it's kind of like that? Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. I said, well, then let me ask you a question. She had one with her, and we turned to the front of it, front cover of the book. I said, when was the last time that was revised? 1997, 1998 or something. I said, so why did it need to be revised? What changed in that commentary that you had to revise it? What changed in the word that you're saying this is used to explain to you what that verse or passage is saying? What changed in that verse or that passage here that you need to change that here? Well, never thought about it like that. I'm not sure. I submit to you that nothing has changed except someone's view of, and it could be a number of things, new worldly view, we change all the time to suit ourselves. All right? We change things all the time to suit ourselves. Human nature. All right? Well, I don't fit into that narrative, so I'm going to do this. All right? I don't want to get my hair wet being baptized, so I'm just going to sprinkle. It's just, it's not important anyhow. You ever heard that? Yeah. Well, what I've read in my Bible, the good Lord tells us is you take away from the words that are written in this book, take away your name out of the book of life. You add to it, I'm going to add unto you the plagues that are written in this book. And what does that mean? When you do something to change the meaning of this, you're wrong. And good things ain't going to happen to you. Well, I don't think the good Lord would want me to be unhappy. Really? Well, mine says he's no respecter of persons. He can care less how you feel about it, or if that makes you happy. Well, I just enjoy music. I like music too. I like music. But you know what? This ain't my house. This ain't my house. And that's what we've got to remember. It may be okay for you to come to my house, sit down in the den with me, and prop your feet up on the coffee table. All right? That may not be the case in your house. And we've got to know where we are. Okay? We have to be cognizant of that. We're not at our house. We're in the Lord's house. Okay? And there are things that he has set forth and set in motion. And if we're to see and spend eternity with him in heaven, we have got to do it his way. It's his house. He ain't got to let us in. And I get so sick of hearing that. I heard it the other day. Well, I don't think the Lord would want me to be unhappy. Really? Just what verse did you pick that out of? What? Just show it to me. I could be wrong. Just show it to me. All right? But people don't know enough because they don't spend the time that is required to. And I'm a simple person. All right? I have to see things, all right, to grasp it. Yeah, will I ever master this book? Certainly not. All right? That's why I have to stay in it. All right? I have to stay in it. I do that before my feet ever hit the floor in the morning, before I ever get out of bed. That's what I do. I got my Bible laying there or whatever. In this case, my commentaries and stuff on Joshua every morning before I get up. Why? I know that's the only time I've got to do it before I get into my day get busy, something happens, you got a flat, this is tore up, and you get tied up fixing that or tending to this, tending to that. That's how I start my day. That is my day. And like everything else, you have to, that's a commitment. And I ain't tooting my own air horn, but I mean, that's a commitment, and that's what he's looking for. He's looking for that commitment out of each and every one of us. Each and every one. He wants us to be committed to him, and in doing so, his word. How can we do that if we don't stay in the word? You set that time aside. Set that time aside. I was going to let a part of the week this past week with my dad. He's got a place up in Wrightsville, Georgia, Johnson County, Georgia, home of Herschel Walker, by the way, in case y'all didn't know that. But we didn't have time to stop by and see Herschel this trip. But anyhow, you know, I get back home late Friday evening. They just ain't enough time to tend to everything. But you have got to set those priorities. What other priority is there that we should be setting? I'm telling you, you ain't getting all them chores. All right? That ain't gonna happen. You ain't gonna get through. All right? What have our priorities got to be? And where do we fail? Where do we fail? Not making time each and every day. That should, regardless of what, for me it's in the morning, all right, before my feet ever hit the ground. That's not to say that's the only time you got to do it. But the point is that should be our priority, and that should be something that takes priority in our day, and we set aside that time specifically to draw closer to our Lord and Savior. Yes? Yes? If that's happening. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I've never been, well, I don't entertain that. I don't entertain it, and I'll cut it in the quick. All right? Like a bad toenail. I'll cut it in quick. I've never entertained that. I don't want to hear it. And I stop people short. Well, you don't understand. Okay, well, help me out. Help me understand why you don't have this, you don't have that. The discussion I had with, it was yesterday with somebody. Anyhow, one of their relatives had been in and out of drug treatment. They said, well, you know, he's just sick and he's tired. I said, sick? He's not sick. Well, yeah, it's a sickness. No, it's a choice. You don't choose to get cancer. You choose to put that stuff into your body. Don't come at me sideways with that. No, it is a choice. They made a choice. I ain't gonna feel sorry for somebody that makes those choices. All right? Sickness, cancer, leukemia, whatever the case may be, that's a sickness. Okay? That's a sickness. These other things people get hung up about where you don't understand. Oh, yeah, I do. You don't understand. That ain't a sickness. That's a choice. All right? They had the final say-so in those situations. Don't tell it to the hand. All right? There's a difference. All right? There's a difference. Well, yeah, but, now he's, got this and got that. Play with matches. All right? It's hard. And that's probably the wrong attitude, but, I don't wish that on anyone. However, that is a conscious choice that they have made. Okay? That is a conscious choice. I can have empathy. I can have sympathy for somebody that has a disease. All right? That's not of their own doing. But somebody that chooses to do that to themselves, obviously they didn't care. They didn't care, but I'm supposed to be overwhelmed by it. Got to take care of yourself. Yeah, exactly. I do. And it's life puts us in some peculiar situations, okay? Life puts us in bad situations, all right? I stay busy every day of the week from daylight till dark. I have both my parents are still living. One of them's a stroke victim. My dad, he's a big guy like I am. That's why I've had back surgery and 4 shoulder surgeries and elbow surgeries and everything else. Having to get him up, in and out of the bed, in and out of the vehicle, in and out of the tub. It just wears on you. I'm not a young man anymore. However, that's my responsibility. I accept that as my responsibility, which makes it my responsibility. I have a mother who's broke hips, rods, pins, in a nursing home now, has dementia. Some days she knows me, some days she doesn't. So I make a circle every day. It's a big old circle. So, and ever since, it's about 3 years ago now, in a couple of weeks, ever since my heart surgery, I've had medical issues, different things going on. I'm on my 3rd neurologist, okay? The last one, the second one says, I give up. I don't know. And so this new one I've gone to, and I just went back this past week, and I have memory issues. I get lost. I got lost in the Valdosta Mall for an hour. Couldn't find my way out. Somebody said, well, those storefronts change all the time. I said, the exits ain't changed since 1983 when they built it. I couldn't get out. So I have those things. My letters are backwards when I write them. And so anyhow, this doctor I went to the other day, he says, well, I'm going to put you on some medicine. he says, I think you may be having seizures when these things are happening. And I said, no, not a seizure. Having a seizure make my S's backwards. All right? I said, it can't be seizures. I said, besides that, I said, you can't do that to me. And so I hadn't had an episode in like 3 months where I gotten lost. He said, well, we're going to try you on this medicine. You know, if you don't have any more episodes for 3 more months, that's a 6-month period, and everything will be okay. If not, I'm going to have to document it and report it. I said, no, you're not. He said, well, you know, I got to by law. All right, well, you are putting me in a position where I'm going to have to come in here and lie to you. How can I take care of my parents if I can't get in the vehicle and drive and get back and forth? I can't. I can't have that. You know, I can't have that. And so we get put in situations where there seems like there's not good answers sometimes. And sometimes we have to make a choice. Sometimes we have to make a difficult choice. Sometimes we have to make a hard choice. But I assure you, if we don't make this choice, there is no hope. No hope whatsoever. That's our responsibility. That's what we are commanded to do, not only for ourselves, but for others. All right? Spread the word, okay? That is our command. And he is not going to listen to, you don't understand, I was busy. I didn't have time. Okay? All right. Let me know how that works out for you. All right? And whose fault is it? Just like the alcohol or drug abuse. Whose fault? That's a choice. That's a choice. All right? We choose to. And if we choose to, we have the opportunity to earn a spot eternally with our Savior in heaven, or we choose not to, and we're going to earn a spot. It ain't going to be where you want. I appreciate everybody's attention.